Welcome back to Fickle Sports. It is score prediction time, game week 31. Battle for top 4, West Ham and Leicester. And you've got Tottenham versus Man United coming up.
Yeah, so before we go any further, we get into that first Friday night game. We just want to say a quick thank you to all your usual suspects who comment on our posts and we have a chinwag with every week. We appreciate you guys so much. So, first game of the game week is taking place Friday. It is Fulham versus Wolves. And Fulham, they were building up that momentum. They were looking like they was going to give themselves a chance to stay up. But now there's 3 losses in 3. Although, to be fair, they have had 3 tough games. But the Aston Villa game, I think maybe is the one that I'd be most upset with because they played well. They just didn't react. Well, first of all, they were gifted a goal. You know, they were 1-0 up. As I say, they were playing well. I'd borderline say they were dominant. But then Aston Villa changed it. Smith, he brought in Trezeguet, which completely changed the game. Fulham didn't react to it. And then, well, you saw what happened. 3 goals in, 15 minutes? And in the end, I think it's 3 points thrown away.
Yeah, undone by their defending, which they're going back to the defending that they had at the beginning of the season, which is unfortunate to see. As for Wolves, they really got undone, blitzed, almost obliterated in that first half. 3 goals to concede and dismantled by Jesse Lingard, who was, on inspired form. So I don't think Wolves, I think they're going to survive, but every extra loss that they have makes it a bit more scarier that they're only a couple more points away from the relegation battle. But I will say there were some positives in that game. You had Traore, who finally sort of looked like the Traore of last season. Absolutely lung-bursting run down the left flank and put an amazing cross in. And Silva, he got a good goal. He was very composed in front of goal. So hopefully on the up for Wolves from here.
What's your prediction?
I'm going to go with Fulham on this. I think they're going to respond. It's really tough. I'm going 2-1 Fulham.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to revert back to kind of how Fulham were when they were previously having the bad form, when they then started drawing a lot. So I'm going to go 1-1.
Next up is Manchester City versus Leeds. And Man City in that game against Leicester City, I was kind of looking at the stats and it didn't seem like a dominant performance stats-wise. But watching it, the eye test, I kind of felt that Man City were in charge the entire way through from minute 1 to minute 93 or whatever it was. It looked like it was just so comfortable, so controlled, so professional by Man City. They got super high expectations and they're just drumming to the right beat every single game week. And that man, Kevin De Bruyne, his influence on the game is not super explosive, but everything goes through him. And the way he influences the game, it's absolutely massive. And, he's been out with injury for quite a few weeks, but it feels to me like he's the best player in the Premier League.
Whoa, that is a bold statement there, Gary, considering, there's a certain Mr. Kane who's top of the goal scorers list, top of the assist list, and he's doing it for a team which, let's be honest, has been bang fucking average.
But crucially, probably won't win anything. That's maybe the difference between the two sides.
More credit to Kane. He's just dragging these goals assists for a team that really shouldn't be. Imagine Kane at City. There's a
200 million, I think.
For Leeds, now that's 2 wins in 2. And against Sheffield United, how do I explain this? They deserve the victory. I believe they deserve the victory. And I think they played well. They got the own goal. And Harrison, unlike him, usually likes to score a bit of a wonder goal. It was some fantastic build-up play. But, a bit of a close range effort for him. But firstly, Leeds made it hard for themselves, and I think credit Sheffield United, I think they made it hard for Leeds as well. But the important thing is they got the 3 points. And I think they're now, they're sitting in mid-table, they're definitely safe, they have a tough run coming up, and I think they will do what we've seen from Leeds and now go hammer now for these tough games they have coming up. Because they have Manchester City, Liverpool, and Manchester United all coming up. So should be entertaining. We'll see what Leeds can do.
Well, do you think they can get anything out against Man City? This would be a tough game.
Not against Man City. I think that'd be just a little bit too tough. It'd be interesting to see what they can do against Liverpool, Man United, though. But that's not what we're talking about. City versus Leeds prediction, Gary.
Yeah, for me, I am going I'm still going for a relatively close one here. I'm going Man City 2, Leeds 1.
No, I'm going big. I'm going 5-2 Manchester City.
That midweek rest from Champions League, you don't think they're going to rotate a lot? That's why I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, that's the thing with Leeds. You never know, do you? You know, they can turn up. They could even get a result, but I'm just going by. You know, Leeds like to go man to man, and against City in the form they're in, that's all I'm basing it on. Next up is Liverpool versus Aston Villa, and Liverpool. They're showing signs, they're showing signs that they're the team that we've known from like kind of the last few seasons. It's very helpful for them that Jota is, he's regaining his fitness, and it seems that's going hand in hand with his form. As he played well against Wolves, he played even better in his what was borderline a cameo appearance against Arsenal. He was only on for like half an hour. And the thing is, the day didn't start too well for Liverpool, because they would have definitely known that after that Man City win, that mathematically they could no longer retain their title. So I think it shows even more, just how fantastically they played, coming from like kind of that negative situation that we're in. So it was an absolute brilliant performance by them. Really was top class.
Yeah. I think Fabinho going back in midfield was absolutely key to like sort of controlling the midfield, and not having him to play at centre back was a massive deal for that game. Yeah,
100% agree. And I think the thing is, he does feel a gap, and he feels it well in central defence, but you just saw how important he is to that midfield.
As for Aston Villa, I'll hold my hands up. I really thought Fulham were going to beat a Jack Grealish-less Aston Villa, but Aston Villa did really well. It did start off with a bit of a howler from Mings, be worried about that sort of mistake haunting him, but he responded really well, got basically assist to set up the equaliser, and that man Trezeguet, he hasn't scored all season, but he came up with 2. I don't know, his missus must have been making fun of him in bed or something, got him all riled up, and he finally scored 2 after not scoring all season. So Aston Villa did really well.
Can you do anecdotes that aren't sexual out of interest, or is it just purely?
Has to be. It's the way my brain works. I can't. There's no other metaphor or anecdote that works.
And he's obsessed with sex. Okay. And I find myself saying the same thing again. Let's move away from Gary's train of thought and on to, what's your prediction, Gary?
I am going Liverpool with this one. I don't know. They might not react well to that defeat to Real Madrid. I'm going 2-2 between Aston Villa and Liverpool.
And Nympho has gone for 2-2. I am going for 3-1 Liverpool.
Too conservative. All right. Next up is Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Crystal Palace fans, let's admit that was a very, very good point to steal away against Everton. Everton really should have been miles out of sight. I think they missed almost every single one-on-one. Could have been 3 or 4-0 up, but credit to Palace. They did play well, despite getting away with a lot of good chances on Everton's part, and they remained in the game. It was a lovely pass by Schlupp and a great finish in the end, right at the end. And I'm going to keep saying this: Roy Hodgson, he's not signing a new contract, and we'll see where Crystal Palace goes this summer, but he still deserves credit because he's going to deliver two safeties away from relegation during a pandemic, and for Crystal Palace that's still huge to have that stability.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that's another fan base you probably alienated there, Gary, but it's fine. You're working your way around the Premier League. I respect the consistency.
I just love Roy.
Well, yeah, we have a thing on Fickle Sports. We know that teams don't want to be hearing about their teams, especially when they're that bad. So all I'm going to say, I think the sending off might be maybe a tiny bit soft, but at the same time, one of your more experienced players, you would expect him to put challenges like that in. He's already on a yellow card. But it doesn't make up for the way they just kind of fell apart and was absolutely picked apart by West Brom. But we'll leave it there. Short and sweet for you Chelsea fans.
We'll delete it from the Premier League archives. So don't worry, it never happened.
What's your prediction, Gary?
If Chelsea weren't coming up against such a a side that can be so frustrating and deliver a low block, I would give Chelsea, against most other teams, the team to do some crazy revenge. But I'm going to go for a squeaky 2-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm feeling squeakiness. I'm going 1-0 Chelsea. So we move on over into Sunday, and first game up is Burnley versus Newcastle. And Burnley. Explain to me what happened, because what it looked like to me is it was a role reversal, because Burnley, if you remember, they beat Everton. Right, it was a very good victory for them, and they come out very confident. And it's like their confidence just got absolutely obliterated, and Southampton all of a sudden became like prime Barcelona. I'm just not sure what happened, because I just don't expect that from Burnley to throw away a 2-0 lead, but that is exactly what they did. And I watched that game, and I couldn't put my finger on what exactly happened. Yeah, whether it's brilliance from Southampton or sloppiness from Burnley. But they threw it away, and it's just something you don't expect from Burnley, especially under Sean Dyche. So they'll certainly be hoping that they can put up the same offensive performance, but this time, stop Newcastle from coming back.
As for Newcastle, I'll hold up my hands. I've really expected a drubbing from Tottenham. All the signs led up to it. Even before that, you had 95% of the fan poll that wanted Steve Bruce to be sacked, and it was a terrible loss to Brighton before that. So everything pointed towards, the squad sort of giving up on the manager. But, they did really well against Tottenham. They took advantage of Tottenham's sloppy mistakes and put them under pressure throughout the game and got that equaliser towards the end. So that is a massive point, considering the other teams around them lost. So that point could be worth so much by the end of the season. So, well done to Newcastle.
What's your prediction for this one?
I don't know. I feel like Newcastle are going to be up and down, but I like Newcastle's chances. So I'm going 2-1 Newcastle here.
I'm going back Burnley again. I know they let themselves down against Southampton. And I think that'll be in their mind. If they are able to go a goal or two up against Newcastle, I think they're going to be defending. They will absolutely defend very resolutely. So I'm going Burnley 1-0.
Next up is West Ham United versus Leicester, and a crucial battle for top 4. But West Ham, I felt they were basically the winners of the weekend, other than West Brom. That was a massive victory to keep the Champions League fight going on. And Lingard, he is on absolute crack at the moment. I don't know what he's on. He's been, maybe resting so much at Man United. He's just put on the burners for West Ham, and it's crazy to see. And he's done so well. West Ham really took advantage of Chelsea sort of imploding against West Brom. Now there's a real test against Leicester City, and they're gonna have to do that without Antonio and Declan Rice, who got injured. It's really unfortunate. You would just want to see if West Ham can get through with their players. For
Leicester, look, it's a difficult one, because the thing is, what I want to say is that they didn't play well against Manchester City, but I think sometimes it's just one of those games where City just played that well. You touched on it earlier, Gary. The stats didn't necessarily back up how dominant City were, but they were just, they were so dominant. Leicester really struggled against them. They weren't able to create the chances, which they sometimes are able to do against City. If you remember early on in the season, obviously it finished 5-2. They just constantly hurt them on the counter, but they just wasn't able to get those chances. City, just both offensively and defensively, played really well. So I think what Leicester would do, they'll probably just take that one on the head and now move on against West Ham, because let's be honest, this is a Champions League battle right now, and Leicester, they'll be thinking they don't want to repeat of last season where they basically stayed in Champions League positions for the whole of the season and then just dipped out at the end. They will want to secure top 4 minimum. So best way to do that is beat their teams battling out for it.
Okay, are you brave enough to predict a Leicester win then?
Absolutely. I'm going 1-0 Leicester.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm going to dare to dream for West Ham. I want them to get into the Champions League out of all the teams and around them. So I'm going 2-1 West Ham.
Well, if West Ham's bubbles burst, we know who to blame. Next up is Tottenham versus Manchester United. And Tottenham! What the fuck? It's just a self-implosion. It's just self-harming to the point where really someone should call and ask if Tottenham are okay. It's absolutely mental. There's zero confidence in that defence. I don't know if it's helping Mourinho's comments. We come out after the game and they said, his teams usually like to hold a lead, and he's like, same coach, different players. But he has a point. Tottenham do just implode, and Newcastle, who haven't been playing that well recently, the pressure that they were able to put Tottenham under and the chance they were able to create from that Tottenham back line, it was ridiculous. It was crazy. And I feel for Tottenham because Manchester United are going to put them under much, much worse pressure.
Yeah, can you imagine Tottenham's season without Harry Kane? I'm just saying, considering how well Harry Kane has performed this season, it's too scary to think.
Oh, it's relegation.
Yeah, close.
Absolutely
close.
Yeah, we would be near the bottom.
As for Man United, I think they showed like great composure after going 1-0 down, and it was very, very good finish by Rashford. Tucked that in expertly into the bottom right, and Mason Greenwood as well. I really liked that goal. It was kind of a poacher's goal. Like you haven't seen that side of his game develop just yet, because he's great at everything else. He puts it to one side and whips the ball and he just finishes. He doesn't have to do the poacher's goal. But it was nice to see that type of goal from Greenwood. I will say that I think Man United got away with that a little bit with the Maguire on Welbeck. He pulled him down. That could have been a red card and a penalty. But they got away with it, and they got away with the 2-1 victory in the end.
What's your prediction for this one?
I am going for... I'm going for Tottenham in this one. I have no reason why. I just feel like it's Tottenham's turn to troll people. So I'm going 3-2 Tottenham.
Yeah. Well, at least someone has confidence in my club. I'm going 3-1 Manchester United. Next up is Sheffield United versus Arsenal. And for Sheffield United, I haven't worked out yet. I've been meaning to do it, and I was hoping that Sky Sports or some other news outlet would do it for me. But how many points Sheffield United, or how many games until Sheffield United are kind of mathematically definitely down? But I think most Sheffield United fans are resigned to the fact they are probably going down. And against Leeds, I think it was almost a result that kind of typified Sheffield United's season. They worked hard. They didn't get the rub of the green. They're unfortunate with the own goal. And just you feel like anything they did, I know they did get a goal back, but anything they did, they just didn't really come off, and they ended up being like kind of half decent losers almost. And it's kind of the story of their season. So maybe they'll be hoping to get that monkey off their back, once they do go down, and we might start seeing some of the Sheffield United we saw last season.
Yeah, will they get a scalp against Arsenal like they did against Man United? That would be terrible for me. But for Arsenal, it was just a depressing watch. It was a waste of 2 hours. I mean, Liverpool, no one's gonna begrudge losing against Liverpool because they're still the champions. Fabinho went back in midfield, but you're telling me you couldn't even lay a glove on Liverpool at all for the entirety of the 90 minutes. Couldn't put the centre backs, under any pressure. Phillips and Kabak, they're not good centre backs. They're not good defenders, but you couldn't even get close to them, which was the super frustrating part. And yeah, I really can't explain Arsenal this season. The Premier League has gone so spectacularly bad. I do worry for Mikel Arteta. I feel like only Europa League will kind of save him, because we've turned into a mid-table club currently, and yeah, it's just not good enough.
What's your prediction for this one?
I am going for a resounding 3-0 win for Arsenal. Got to laugh while I smile as well.
Yeah, I'm going for 2-1 Arsenal.
Really? Okay. There is hope. Next up is West Bromwich Albion versus Southampton, and West Brom, the biggest winners of the weekend by far. Sam Allardyce once again teaching a foreign manager who thinks they know a little bit about tactics the true meaning of the Premier League. Absolutely dusted out Thomas Tuchel. Got a bit of help, has to be admitted, with the sending off that really changed the game, but I don't know, West Brom really took advantage of Chelsea's lackluster performance, the lack of concentration, and just put them to the sword, and that's absolutely great. West Brom, I feel I didn't give them a chance in this game, and I said that they needed 2 wins back to back before they can really get excited. Enjoy the win, but they need to follow up with another win.
Just a reminder, Gary, I sort of semi-called this. I said that Allardyce has this in his locker in the big games. I didn't go for it.
Yeah, well, you
went for a Chelsea win. That's why it's semi. But I did say he's got it in his locker.
He does. He definitely does. He was in his bunker over international break, devising all these tactics. Get Thiago Silva sent off. That was it.
Whilst you are right with everything you said about West Brom, Gary, and you are right, I would put it to you, sir, good sir, I would put it to you, Southampton's comeback was better. Because they went 2-0 down, and then all of a sudden, what I think happened, and this may be because I've recently watched the new trailer for Space Jam 2, but in Space Jam, you tell me you've seen Space Jam.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Or I would have gone somewhere away from you. You know that bit where Bugs Bunny puts the special water in and they all drink it, and
special
it's Michael
sauce.
Jackson. The special sauce of Michael Jackson. That's what Hassan Hutel did. He gave them all special
Hassan Hutel sauce in the dressing room.
Don't make it dirty. Because they went 2-0 down, and I was thinking, look, this is the Southampton who've had one of the worst 2021. That was going to be game over for them, and then all of a sudden, boom! Prime Barcelona out of nowhere. There's some fantastic goals they scored. It was just brilliant. I just don't know where it came from at all, but it happened, and it was absolutely fantastic for the Saints fans.
Okay, so comeback kings. Who's gonna edge it in this encounter then?
Southampton.
No bloody way. No.
You go first then.
No, I'm going Sam Allardyce all the way. I just want to set up an exciting relegation battle. So I'm going Sam Allardyce 3-1 against Southampton.
I'm going to Uno reverse it and do 3-1 Southampton. So it's the final game of the game week, and it is Brighton versus Everton. And Brighton! Look, I'm going to touch on it lightly. They played well.
Yeah.
They should have taken advantage of their early dominance and the chances that they had. I'm going to get all that done out of the way, because it'd be easy for me to say what I've said quite a few times about Brighton, where they've kind of played well, but they haven't got the result the performance is warranted. Because you touched on it earlier, Gary, but I think they were absolutely robbed here. Because how Maguire touching up Welbeck, I mean, he must have asked for his number afterwards, I'm sure of it. How Maguire got away with that, I do not know. That, for me, I know they have the double jeopardy rule, so as a very minimum, that's a yellow card and a penalty. I don't see how that decision isn't given. Now, that doesn't make up for the fact of what I said earlier, where Brighton should have taken advantage of their early chances. But come on, how is that not a penalty?
Yeah, it's a penalty and a red card in my book. I don't understand. I don't know rules about intentional, non-intentional. But if you pull someone down in on goal, penalty, red card.
Yeah, I don't know how it wasn't given. And I think Brighton have every right to feel hard done by with that, because sometimes you do need that little bit of luck, and they didn't get it, and where they didn't get it, Manchester United did. It was unfortunate for them. So as well as shooting themselves in their own foot, the ref shot them a little bit as well.
As for Everton, ridiculous, really. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be pulling out my hair, because Really should have. It should have been out of sight. It really should have been against Crystal Palace. Should have been 4-0 up. Really, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison missed some. I wouldn't say sitters, but some gilt-edged, opportunities, which both of them are so capable of finishing. So it's really frustrating. And you add to that, Everton worked so hard to get in and amongst the Champions League like spots, and they just like the last couple of games just completely thrown it away almost. And Chelsea lost, right? And if they got these 3 points, that 2 extra points would have been absolutely massive. They would have been right there and could have played out the remainder of the season. 2 points is going to be a massive, massive deal in this race.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going for Everton. I feel like they're going to come back. I can't explain why, but they'll have their shooting boots here and they're going to win 2-0.
I am going for Brighton. I feel like they're going to come back. They're going to have their shooting boots with them. I can't tell you why. But
Stop it. Don't do the Uno Reverso.
You're that shit at predictions. I find the best way to be right is to go with the opposite of what you're doing.
So
I'm going 2-0 Brighton.
Oh, Jesus. That's it for this week, game week 31. All the best to your teams, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week.